good day and happy Independence Day out there to everybody. This is roll reveal number 543. It's a 1942 Philadelphia roll. I'm going to go ahead and get started on it now. Appears as though we don't have anyone watching. Well, everybody's busy. Hello, Ant. How you doing, buddy? It's once again the case of the Numis square tubes. Doesn't like to let go of the coins. Part of why I don't like using the square tubes. Other people do, though. I'm not sure whether you are in this roll. I don't know. I scarcely pay attention to the names as I'm putting them in the flips. I just do it one after the other. We'll find out. Let's see. First coin, Roy Wheeler. A bunch of double die obverses and reverses to be watching for in this roll. Later die state coin here is the first one in the roll. Check the reverse. And there's a certain number of double dies that show mostly in the central region of the design. And those are class 4 offset hub doubling. And there's not a whole lot of different dies in different years like this, meaning that 1942 and specifically 42 Philadelphia tend to kind of take over the market on that particular type of doubling for some reason. Not really knowing why. Hello, Carl. Well, and there's your coin. There's one for Carl. There's Tyler. There's Richard. This is kind of one of those, if you build it, they will come type things. I figured, well, I wanted to get caught up on this past week's reveals. And I wanted to do it in good, tasteful fashion. And I didn't want to take up too much of everybody's holiday here on July 4th. But I did need to get at least one done today to keep myself, well, as a scout would say, physically fit, mentally awake, and morally straight. I just had stuff building up on me this past week with regard to what needed to be done. And just kind of getting to that now, making sure that I've got everything covered. And that's coin number 2. Well, let's see what we can find here. Coin number 3, Sureg. Okay, this little mark here, this little mark of mine, is the same as was on the first coin in the roll. Got that nice deep trench dug around the front of the bust. Starting to learn a little bit about our markers on some of these different dies here. Just 3 coins in. There's another marker that I remember. A little trailing series of die dots. Odd. Looks like a little dotted line under the S of pluribus. Let's see. That was for Sureg. Now we're going to move on to coin number 4. Pretty decent roll of 42. Don't see them very often. Don't come available every day, that's for sure. Here's another 1942. And checking especially, I mean, there's some really nice ones on the eye. There's a couple that show in the motto, and a couple that show just in Liberty, or mostly in Liberty. And then the reverse. It's like I said earlier, those class 4 double dies that show mostly in the central region of the design, they're generally going to show mostly on the bottom of the C and the bottom of the E in cent. Exactly why that spot, it's kind of one of those enigmas I can't answer. But most populously they tend to be in that area. Hello, Calipigian. Jordan up next. Let's see if we can get something rolling in this. A lot of coins here. I checked the date too for class 2 or class 6 doubling. Class 2 being a spread toward the rim that you would see separation, because that's a distortion of the hub, meaning that it was bent. Class 6 is just extra thickness, a spread of extra thickness, and that's because a hub was distended, meaning that it was overheated or overused, and the lettering just kind of crushed itself out, kind of flat and large. That happens more toward the rim than anywhere else. All right, next up, number 6, Chuck Patillo. There's another one of those. So this one will have the trailing little series of die dots under the S of pluribus. Got no doubling on this particular die pair. Here's our die dots. Little dotted line under the S of pluribus. Not sure that I've ever seen that specific anomaly. Alright, number 7 now. Richard Sappington, who happens to be here this morning. Let's see what you get. Well, on the obverse I don't see anything. Let's check the reverse. Oh, a lot of die wear. Just a lot of die wear, that's what I see. Alright. Here's Crispy. Hello, Crispy. Let's grab the next coin. Frostbite. Let's see what Frostbite gets. Yeah, this one looks like a different die than what I'm used to looking at. Perhaps this one may have something. Oh, there we go. Double die lid. Now that trench that's cut around the forehead and around the nose and other areas, it's very common. Oddly enough, it's very common to coins to Lincoln cents anyway, from about 1937 up through about 1943. But this one happens to be a minor double die lid. You can see the extra eyelid parked right there underneath the primary eyelid. See if there's any other features of doubling on this coin. Sometimes you'll see it up in and around the word trust. Nothing here. We do have the doubled eyelid though. Let's check the reverse. You never know when you're going to turn up with a nice double die reverse to go with a minor double die obverse. Let's see what we have here. Nothing special. Nothing special for the reverse of this coin, but it is a double die obverse for Frosty. And there we go. First die variety of the roll. On to coin number 9, Mr. Fletcher. Let's see what Jim gets. And looks like we have yet another different die, but this one is very late die state. We would have problems pulling doubling out of this one unless major in scope. And it doesn't appear that we have that. So there's a die crack right there running from the right wheat to the rim. Another sign that you have a very late die state strike. And nothing I can see for doubling on this coin. That was number 9. Now how about number 10? Sissy. Let's see. Man, we got some kind of baggy coins here. A lot of hits and minor gashes. I don't have a lot of spots though. It's another of the same die again. It's got that die crack running toward the rim from the center or lower center of the right wheat. So, hello, Eric. Yes, Ant, I did get your email. I don't understand how that happened, however. I don't see a point in charging you for items you didn't order. You keep those rolls, and I will replace them with the proper rolls. So have fun with the ones you got. My compliments. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, got a nice little die. It's a nice little die break there next to the end. We've got one rather minor doubled eyelid. That's all we've seen so far. Nothing else of any great consequence. We do have an original roll, though. Seeing the same dies over and over again. This one's kind of spotty. See that? There's a looks like a tooling mark almost underneath the ER. How it kind of curves. I've seen that on another coin. I've seen it at least on one other coin. So we do have a repeat die here, even though I didn't mention anything about it. This one's got a imperfection in the planchet. This one could actually be a really minor class 6 double die reverse. Appears the dot next to the E is kind of egg-shaped just a little bit. But I don't think this is going to be enough to really count because I don't see any doubling anywhere else. Just not seeing it. You kind of have to take everything into account when you're looking at one thing or another. You can't necessarily let the let's see, Mr. Fletcher gets to the next one. You can't let one small minor detail take over what you believe is going on with an entire coin, because the entire coin has to show some. There's another one of those doubled eyelids right there. See what we've got near the date. Okay, we've got this, and now see, these lines are actually sunken in, which tells me that they're scratches on the hub. And then you got this die scratch and this little die scratch. Attributing die varieties is kind of a science. It's well, it really is a science. And it's, well, would you look at that? There's one of those curved marks. You know, have to look a little. I don't have to figure out what we're doing with that. That could be on the hub itself. But you have to be able to deduce what you're seeing or what's going on based on all of the clues that you're given. You can't just use one small area and say, oh, this is that just because of this small area. Very, very few things that you can do that with. One is RPMs. The other is like the minor double die lids and bar L's and columns and stuff like that on the memorial sense. The ones that don't show anything other than just a very small area. Those are the ones that you can use a small area to make your determination, but otherwise you have to kind of use everything around what you're looking at. So if you've got, just say for instance, you've got something that appears to be really strong doubling on the R of trust, and you don't see doubling anywhere else, it's not likely what you're looking at is a double die, because generally something like that, you're going to find at least a little bit of doubling or a hint of doubling on the letters next to the R of trust, simply because, well, a double die is not something, the letters are not individually engraved or individually punched into the dies. It's the entire design all at once. And given that the entire design goes in all at once, if you've got doubling on one area of the design, well, the areas immediately adjacent to that doubling should have some effect of that doubling as well. I mean, if it's not actually doubling, there should be weak in some form or fashion. There should be something going on with the rim. There should be some clue that your doubling actually came from the hubbing process. Just went through the 60 small date roll you bought, and there was only 17 small on the roll. The rest was large date. Man, I'll tell you what. I'll just send you another roll. I mean, this is another one of the doubled eyelids, but this thing's got measles. Chickenpox coin. So here's that curved mark again. And then you got your die scratch right under the 9. That's a marker for that particular die. This one goes to Mickey. Sureg. Sureg up next. Ain't got nothing on the obverse. Let's check the reverse real quick. See if we see anything going on here. And no. Don't see anything there. Coin number 18. Now to Jordan. Well, it's not going to be the doubled eyelid. This is not the doubled eyelid you're looking for. Let's see. Nothing on that side. Let's check the reverse. This is a curiosity measure at this point. Okay, nothing there. Number 19. Crispy. Crispy gets the first die in the roll there with that die scratch running across the bottom of the vest. Got no doubling on this, but see that line right there? That is a different die, and this line persists. That tells me it's on the hub, and it made two different dies with that scratch on the hub. So that is a hub scratch, not a die scratch. See, this one's got the series of dots under the S. So that's coin number 19 for Mr. Crispy. It's coin number 20, Frosty. And what do we have here? Little tiny struck through next to the 9. but it otherwise is just a normal 1942 Lincoln cent. Yeah, unfortunately so. Okay, let's see. Number 21, Parvis. I'm not familiar with die number 38, 1956D. This one's going to be a doubled eyelid here. You can see our marker under the 9 there. And there's the eyelid. There's the mark under the R, the ER. So we found a marker that is shared by 2 different dies. Kind of interesting. Yeah, Tyler, anytime you come up with a roll that isn't what it's supposed to be, just let me know. I will check a roll out and make sure that it has what you're supposed to be getting, and replace that in your next package, if you would so kindly allow me to ship it with the next package so that I don't incur extra shipping charges. Not that I would be so bold as to expect that you're going to purchase from me again, but given our relationship, I would assume you probably will. Here's one for Paul Hampton. Mr. Paul, let's see what you get. Well, that's going to be one of the doubled eyelids right there. This is one of the earlier die states, so there's a later die state version of the same thing. The earlier ones show it better. And there's that scratch under the ER. Actually, it's a number of scratches. It's kind of interesting. Let's make sure we don't have a previous reverse die here. Yeah, you have to realize the number of rolls that I go through. I don't check every coin in every roll. If I did that, you wouldn't have any fun. So I basically give a good assumption that what the tube says it has is probably what it is. And I just sell them as such. And if you come back and say, hey, it didn't have what it was supposed to have, who am I not to trust that? I mean, this is the other die right here. Now notice your marker is exactly the same under the ER, but there's no doubled eyelid. There's no marker for the doubled eyelid. Everything is different about the markers on the coin, except that little sunken line right there. So that is definitely a hub scratch. Scratch placed on the hub that created both dies. Also makes sense that it's a hub scratch because it is sunken in on the coins. Wrong with the T in Liberty. Let's see. Nothing really. I mean, that little curve in it is supposed to be there. Let's see, coin number 25. We'll check the T more closely on this one, just to see if what you're seeing is repeatable, which I believe it probably is. Here's that curve, that leftward curve on the T. That's a normal thing. Got nothing on the obverse on this one. Let's check the reverse real quick. I just want to make sure that we don't miss any double die reverses. Double die reverses, especially those that show just in this area of scent, are ones. I have one that when it was Kaneka listed, I was the first one to get it listed. It actually showed doubling up here above the T, E, D, and the S of states, and it had doubling up here on the C, and it had doubling here on the E. It's pretty nice. And I've never seen one in uncirculated. I've been checking at dealer stock and going through coin shows and things like that. That's one of the things I check for when I look through a box of coins from a dealer, is for any of those double die reverses. Yeah, this one has no indication at all when it came from the hub that created that double die lid. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, got nothing. Yeah, number 27, Mickey. Well, we're going to have a normal coin again. Yeah, this one's got the die crack from the right wheat to the rim. So we've seen the light on this one before. Hey, there's Cad Roll Hunter. How you doing, brother? Crispy. Now, Crispy's full username is CrispyMofo1776. And that just reminded me that anybody who lives in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, any of those states up to Pennsylvania, and has a Sheetz gas station, if you have Sheetz gas station in your area today only, they have marked down their 87 and 88 octane gas to $1.77 and 6/10, $17.76, just for today. It said while promotional supply lasts, so I don't know for how long or for how many fill-ups, but it might be worth a check. We opted not to go out. It's very hot outside. It's above 90 degrees here. Heck, it's 75 inside my office. And when it gets hot outside, I turn my air conditioning. I turn the temperature up on the air conditioning to keep it from working so hard. Yeah. Yeah, in California they might actually have a, and at $17.76 a gallon, they would think that that was a steal. If you're like right out in downtown San Francisco, look at that big struck through. It's a large area that was struck through on this coin. I don't know what it would be, but it is pretty nice looking, very obvious to the naked eye, which is something that you always want when you get an error such as that. And there is the die crack that shows us we've seen this die before. But yeah, in participating stations and Sheetz stations throughout the East Coast area, they've marked gas down to $1.77 a gallon just for today. Likely not a grease smear, because that would have sprayed outward. It was spread more evenly. It was likely a lump or clump of dirt, grime, grease and other crud kind of stuck together. This looks like a Class 6 here. I think this one could be a Class 6. It's got a nice extra thickness to the lettering, the lower half of the lettering, going all the way across on the pluribus unum. I don't really see it very much on the upper wheat, but I'm going to hold this one out just to have it looked at by Mr. Eric. Here's number 32. Sureg. Lots of later die state coins in this. $33 now, Calipigeon. Let's see here. Well, it's not the doubled eyelid. Scarface. Let's see here. It's not that variety at all. Nothing special there. Number 34. Dan. And now see, this is interesting. Okay. The hub scratches include this V-shaped thing next to the 1, because this is not one of the, I don't believe it's one of the, no, it's not one of the doubled eyelids, but it does have the same V-shaped mark over here next to the 1. And it also has that curved mark underneath the ER of Liberty. So this is one of the other, one of the not doubled eyelid dies. And next one for Mark. Let's give Mark a good shot here. Nope, this one is just one of the late die state obverses. Just found 1972 DD01. Nice BU. Did you happen to get that out of a roll you got from me? That would be sweet right there. All right, Chubby Pop Chaser number 36. Number 36. And no markers for the doubled eyelid. Nothing going on there. So it came out of a roll that I sold to you, Malcolm? That would be so awesome. Okay, Crispy. Appreciate it. I'll take a look and let you know what I see. Let's see here. I have to do that before I take off, because a wife has me earmarked for jobs to do after I quote-unquote get finished working. So I have to finish working, you know what I'm saying? Here's another struck through area. Could be that same ball of stuff. You do have the marker here. See? That's the hub marker right there. And you've got it over here too. But no doubled eyelid. No doubling in the eye. Dang nice. Very nice. Of course, you know, Malcolm, if there aren't any pictures, it never happened. So, yeah. Never happened till there's pictures. This one has the hub marker there. It is not the doubled eyelid, and it's going to have the curve marks here. This is a rather scarce find in the sense that you can actually prove that there can be markers on a hub that transfer to the dies that hub creates. Not that that's a brand new revelation, but it's not very common. Oh, Tyler, not necessarily all of them have ever been listed. So there is some chance that it could be new. Let's see. What do I have here? This one looks like just one of the late die state coins. Flip it over and take a look at the reverse. Yeah, this one's got that the die crack. Oh man, this one's got some counting wheel damage on it. Now number 41. Malcolm, here you go, brother. Might as well, while you're on a streak, let's see what you get here. Yeah, it does not look like this one's going to turn out to be the huge success that you found in your 72 roll. No. Number 42. Sissy. Miss Sissy. And just a late die state coin. I think this one's probably going to have the die crack. Nope, it doesn't. This is a different die. This might be the doubled reverse. Nope, it isn't. Nothing to see here. Number 43. Mr. Fletcher again. Back to Mr. Fletcher. Let's see what Mr. Fletcher gets. And this one appears could have the marker for the doubled eyelid, but it is not the doubled eyelid. So we keep looking here. It's got all the other hub markers of that doubled eyelid, but it's a different die. It looks like now we've got 3 different dies. With the particular markers that show up on that one hub. Alright, nothing there. Number 40, 44, 4, 4. Here we go. Crispy. Crispy, crispy. Nothing there. Let's check the other side. So Crispy, does your 1776 on your name have anything to do with Independence Day and the bicentennial and the signing of the Declaration of Independence and all those wonderful things, today would be the day to ask. I've always kind of been curious what that 1776 was for. There's one for Farm Dog. And a lot of little marks on these coins. Not very happy with that idea, but sometimes they just come that way. Down with big government. Okay. So the 1776 is kind of a return to the original ideals that made this country. Let's go back to even before the constitutional thing and fight against... Hey, here we go. There's one of the double eyelids. See the V? And there is the mark. And there is the double eyelid. Works for me. This one goes to Jordan. Alright, let's check number 47. So yeah, that was the idea of the revolution back in 1776, was down with big government. There's another die from the same hub, but it's not the doubled eyelid. It's very interesting what we're finding in this roll. You just found another one. Okay, Malcolm, without pictures, it didn't happen. Photos, my man, photos. Another not a doubled eyelid. We'll check the reverse on this one just to see. Yeah, Malcolm. Yeah, Malcolm's over here striking $500 bills, and the rest of us are kind of wallowing in our own misery because we can't see it, because he's not taking pictures. Waiting on a new camera. Why don't you just take pictures now with what you got? Anything sufficient will do. It doesn't have to be full professional. I don't care if your camera sucks as long as it takes a decent picture. Decent meaning identifiable. So there is no plausible deniability that your story is true. You must show us some form of visual that tells us for sure you have what you say you have. Proof, Malcolm, proof. All right, last one in the roll. Frosty, here we go. And, well, we've got the hub markers, but we don't have the die marker for the doubled eyelid, so it's not the doubled eyelid. This is not the doubled eyelid you're looking for. Move along. Nothing there. 3 of the 1 sent you 4 of MM110 on 4 other RPMs. And you guys are finding all kinds of stuff in what I'm dishing out here. That ought to keep you customers for life, right? Okay, we don't have very many die varieties in this, but we do have just a few. I'll show you names, just so you know. Looks like Parva's got 2 of them, and his grandson got 1. So there is that. And we are done with reveal number 543. All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to take off now. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and happy Independence Day to everybody. Be safe and have a great day.